How's everybody this afternoon?
Great.
Good.
Well, let's start. It's a great environment last week. Jaguar Nation came out, supported. It was great weather. It was high school day. Of course, we didn't have the outcome that we wanted, which is very disappointing. But we talked about it. We made the corrections last night in practice. We had our meetings, and guys, our spirits are good, and they flew around last night. And we put that on the shelf, and we started talking about Texas Southern. So we know that this is a huge game. It's the next game. It's a Western Division Conference game, a game that we have to have, and we're looking forward to it this week.
Coach, could you go a little deeper on what you saw last night? Because I'm sure you were watching carefully to see how the team practiced a couple of days after that game.
Guys had great energy. Guys came out with great energy, running around. They were attentive. They were alert. They had a good, spirits were high. Guys were good. I mean, the thing about our team is those guys, we address those situations and issues of the Nichols game. Those guys took accountability. They understand we didn't play well, and but at some point in time, you got to move on. You got to turn the page. And so we had some serious conversations from the staff to the players, and those guys understand that. And so once we did that, we turned the page and we started focusing on Texas Southern. But again, they were locked in. The spirits were high. Guys were flying around. They were attentive, and so it's always good.
How did T-Set look? Does he have a chance to play this week and possibly start?
Well, he moved around. He moved around well. He was moving around, throwing the ball. He ran afterwards. He'll know how well he feels. He looks good moving. It's going to be day to day. Again, I'm not a medical doctor or director of sports medicine. So whatever they tell me and whatever he says, then that's how we approach it. But it's good to see him get around and move around and things of that nature. So we'll know more as the week progresses.
Coach, how much do you expect to learn about your team in this critical stretch coming up?
Well, I expect to learn a lot about our team because this is the next game. We're in SWAC play, so now every game that we play from here on out determines whether we will win the West and play for the championship. And I think our guys understand that, and they know that we can't do anything about those games that we've played. Those games are behind us. The non-conference is behind us. Again, we always talk about being in the precious present, so we're in the precious present. And Texas Southern is the next opponent. It's on our side. We got to go on the road. We understand all those things. So, we're going to step up. We're going to prepare, and we're going to be ready for the challenge.
What do you think of the job that Chris Dishman has done so far over there?
I think Coach Dishman's done a good job. He's gotten in there. He's got some good players in there. He's got them playing hard. Those guys are flying around on both sides of the ball. And Coach Dish is doing a good thing. He on the conference call yesterday, he wanted me to give him the scouting report if T-Set was going to play or not. Mm-hmm. And he said, Coach, if you're still on, let me know if he's going to play or not. But of course, I'm going to give him the scouting report. And I'll just tell him that our quarterbacks are going to play.
Coach, after a result that was, really, a performance that was really kind of unsatisfactory across the board in the blowout loss, what do you do within this week to make sure a game like that doesn't happen again in the future after that game?
Well, I learned from Coach Richardson, that game's over with. He can't bring it back. Can't do anything about it. Did we want to win the game? Yes. Did we play well enough to win the game? Absolutely not. Did we coach well enough? Absolutely not. But we can't change that. That game's over with. Just like I told the team, after we do our corrections, we have a section on Monday nights where it's called Mistake Monday. So we go through all our corrections, what we didn't do well and all those things. And once we correct that, it's over with. And so now we focus on the next opponent. And you don't ever go into the next week still talking about what happened last week. Because despite of the performance on Saturday, during the off week and all last week, those guys practiced extremely well. They were attentive, they were locked in. Now the results weren't what we wanted them to be, but that's life. You know, we can't do anything about that. So we got to turn the page, and now all our focus has to be on Texas Southern, what they do, how they do it, and what we're going to do to defend it or try to stop what they're doing and those things. And so that's how you do it. You don't even dwell on it anymore. You just go on, and when you talk to those guys, they'll tell you, we turn the page, we going on, our focus now is Texas Southern.
What have you seen from Texas Southern so far that you guys are planning for?
Well, you know, football is a copycat sport. So what you don't do well, then people are gonna attack that. You know, and I tell the guys all the time, it's not a weakness unless you can expose it. So we created some things that people think that they can do, and of course they're gonna come out, they're gonna run the football. They're big up front. They got some big offensive linemen. They have a big freshman running back. You know, so those guys are gonna line up, and rightly so. If the team you played before had success running the ball, you would think that you would have to at least try to do some of the same things, and not the same things, but some of the same things, and see if you can have success running the ball. So we know that they're gonna run the football, and then of course they're gonna throw the football, but of course that's their MO. They're gonna run the football, and they're gonna try to stop the run because Coach Dishman is a defensive guy, defensive head coach, and that's usually the mentality of defensive coaches. Stop the run, make them one-dimensional, and put pressure on the quarterback to intercept the ball and all those things. So they're gonna do that. They're gonna bring pressure on defense, and so we're anticipating them trying to stop the run. We're gonna anticipate them trying to run the football. Now it's just up to us to make sure that we're doing everything that we need to combat that.
Saw Eric Reed Jr. was in a boot before the game last week. Do you expect to have him back?
Reed has been in a boot since PV. He's been in a boot since he didn't play last week. Don't know the timetable on his return. He's walking around. I think he's close to returning. Not sure when he's going to return again. I leave the medical stuff to. They tell me when those guys can come and practice and things of that nature. So, because I got a lot of other stuff that I have to deal with than trying to be the team doctor trained.
What about Derek Williams? Any injury update on him?
Oh, Derek's all right. Derek's middle linebacker, so nothing's gonna be healthy about Derek. Derek is my age, body wise. So you play that position. You're gonna wake up someone and say your big toe gonna hurt, your thumb's gonna hurt, your fingers, your shoulders. Derek, I coached Derek. This is 3 years, so Derek this comes with the territory. And you see that he's a competitor, he's a fighter. He's gonna go out there. You got to make him stay out, but he's a leader. He's locked in, so he's gonna give us what he got. I keep saying it all the time. Football is a collision sport. So at this time of year, going into Game 6, nobody's feeling good, 100% healthy. So he'll be fine.
Coach, would you talk a little bit about Darren Morris? I know the passing game hasn't been up to standard, but he seems like he makes some big plays. He gives you a guy that can make some big plays, turn a short gain into a long.
Yeah, Darren's he's a great wide receiver. He's explosive. He's very athletic, and he's a great competitor. So he can do some things that a lot of guys can't do. And the amazing thing about that, Darren was the same way in high school. He was very explosive and dominant, and he doesn't look like he's going fast, but he's moving fast and quick. He gives you that illusion, and again, his competitive edge really makes him the type of football player he is. And he's going to do what he has to do, and he's a great special teams player. And so he always tells me, Coach, I can play defense too. Let me go back there and play some safety. And I tell him, no, just play wide receiver, special teams. That's what we got you here for. So he's done a great job of playing wide receiver, and the wide receiver corps has been doing a really good job when they have an opportunity. Now we had some drops, uncharacteristically, but overall, those guys doing a good job at the wide receiver spot.
How are you handling Noah? And is Jalen Brown?
Jalen Woods.
I'm sorry, I don't know why I do that. Jalen Woods moving up. Is he like your number 2 guy? Could that be the order this week?
Well, it's that right now because T-Set is still on the mend. But I think that shows that we have 3 quarterbacks that are capable of doing what we need them to do on offense. Noah, it's like having a teenage son. Some days it's gonna be it's going to be great going home, and then some days you pray and say, well, maybe I need to take the long way home, you know. And I'm talking about myself because I know my father was like that with me, because there's some days I think he probably wanted to move out. And but you know, it's just what it is. You gotta love them, you gotta discipline them, you gotta coach them, you gotta correct them when they're wrong, you gotta encourage them when they're right, because it's all about balance. You can't be on him, be down on him when he doesn't do anything right, and then you gotta love him up when he does it well, and that's all of them. And that's the thing about it. You gotta have balance. You gotta discipline, correct them, and then you gotta stroke them and praise them when they do well. And when you do that, they'll lay it all on the line for you. Everything, you know, really. I mean, we just gotta make the right decisions. That was uncharacteristic, and that's why I call it a turnover. Anytime that you don't feel the ball and it bounces and goes to the 1 yard line, in my eyes, it's a turnover. Because now you're talking about going 99 yards, and statistically, the numbers show you where you start field position wise, and that was the thing that really hurt us in the first quarter. Our field position put us in a hole that we could not come out of, because if the closer you are to the goal line, the numbers, the percentages of scoring points, whether it's touchdowns or field goals, they go up. The further you start from your goal line, the chances go down. And so when you look at that, it makes perfect sense. So going 99 yards is probably less than 10%. Returning it to the 1 yard line is probably 99%. So we just have to be better. We have to be locked in and focused. We're going to change some people around and do some things differently schematically to kind of help those guys out as well. And I think we'll be fine.
Last question.
Coach, I'm not asking for your game plan here, but what have you been doing, especially over Monday, to get the run game going, especially with Kobe Dillon and Kendrick Grimes?
It's like anything else, you got to trust the process. And that's the thing. And I talk with the running backs, and I tell them all the time, average running backs, they make one guy miss. Great running backs, good running backs, they make two guys miss. Elite running backs make them all miss. And I used the analogy, last night we were at practice and I talked with him doing flex. And we talked about King Henry. And everybody knows that I'm a King Henry fan, always have been. And I said, if you watch that game against Cincinnati on Sunday, at the beginning, the whole entire game, he was getting 1 yard, 2 yards. They were committed to stop him. In overtime, he broke one for about 50-something yards and gave him a chance to win. But he didn't do anything different. He just trusted the process. And that's what we tell them to do. Trust the process. And sometimes every hole is not going to be this big. And as Emmett Smith said, sometimes that hole is going to do this and do that. So now, it's your job to get in it, and then sometimes you have to make a hole. So they understand that, and I think they understand it. I know they understand it, and those guys, they'll do a great job of getting us going.
Thank you.